Palestine. The very name evokes powerful images and deep emotions. It is a sliver of land, nestled at the eastern edge of the Mediterranean Sea. To the north the mountains of Lebanon rise, to the east the great Syrian desert stretches out. The Arabian desert stretches out, and to the south the Sinai Peninsula connects it to the vast continent of Africa. This small territory, no larger than some English counties, serves as a natural bridge connecting three continents: Asia, Africa, Europe. It is this unique geographical position that has, for millennia, placed it at the very center of human history, a stage upon which epic dramas of faith, empire, and culture have unfolded. Its importance, however, is not merely a matter of location. This is a land that holds a profound spiritual weight for a significant portion of humanity. For Jews, for Christians, for Muslims, its hills and valleys are etched with stories central to their beliefs. Abraham, Moses, David, Jesus, Muhammad, the ancient stones of Jerusalem, the tranquil waters of the Sea of Galilee, and the solemn banks of the Jordan River are not just geographical features, they are sacred sites that draw millions of pilgrims and command global attention. This combination of strategic geography and spiritual magnetism has made Palestine a land of constant movement and change. The name Palestine has a history as complex and layered as the land itself. It did not appear suddenly on a map but evolved over thousands of years. Its meaning and the area it described changed with the rise and fall of empires. Ancient Egyptians recorded encounters with a coastal people they called the Peliset. These were the Philistines, seafaring settlers on the southern coastal plain around the 12th century BCE. The region was known in Hebrew as Eretz Pelashet, the land of the Philistines, a distinct coastal strip. It was part of a larger region called Canaan. The ancient Greeks, like Herodotus, used the term Palestine. He described a district of Syria spanning from Phoenicia down to Egypt. The Roman Empire conquered the region, and it was called Judea at first. After the Bar Kokhba revolt in the 2nd century CE, Emperor Hadrian renamed the province Syria Palestina. Byzantine rule continued. Then early Islamic rule followed. The Umayyad Caliphate administered the area, then the Abbasid Caliphate. Their district had capitals, first at Lydda, later at Ramla. The borders of the district fluctuated, sometimes including parts of modern-day Jordan, sometimes being more constricted. In the 20th century, the British Mandate was established in 1920. The Mandate covered lands that are today Israel, the West Bank, the Gaza Strip, and modern-day Jordan until 1921. The name Palestine became a symbol, representing different aspirations and historical claims. To truly understand the history of Palestine, one must first understand its physical geography. The land is a place of dramatic contrasts, a miniature continent packed into a small space. Along the Mediterranean coast lies a fertile coastal plain, wider in the south and narrowing to the north. This plain has always been a hub of settlement and agriculture, blessed with rich alluvial soils and a mild climate. It was here that ancient ports thrived, connecting the interior to the wider world. Gaza, Jaffa. The gentle topography made it a natural corridor for movement. Moving inland, the landscape rises sharply into a range of central hills that form the spine of the country. Galilee, Samaria, Judea. These highlands are cooler and receive more rainfall than the plains: olives, grapes, figs, Jerusalem, Hebron, Nablus. The rocky terrain offered security with communities nestled in valleys and on terraced slopes. To the east the land plummets into the Great Rift Valley, Sea of Galilee, Jordan River, Dead Sea. The Jordan River flowing south through this trench is the region's most significant source of fresh water. The valley floor can be intensely hot. Around the oasis of Jericho it becomes an incredibly fertile agricultural zone. Beyond the rift and southward from the Judean hills lies the desert. The Judean desert, chalky hills and deep canyons. This geographical diversity has dictated where people could live, what they could farm, and the rhythm of their existence. The unique geography of Palestine not only shaped settlement but also destined it to become one of the world's most important and, hotly contested corridors. Nestled between the impassable Arabian Desert to the east and the Mediterranean Sea to the west, it formed the only real land bridge connecting the great centers of civilization in Egypt and Mesopotamia. For thousands of years, anyone wanting to travel or move an army between Africa and Asia had to pass through this narrow strip of land. This made Palestine a strategic choke point, a natural highway for trade caravans migrating peoples invading armies, making sure it would rarely know lasting peace. So, two main ancient routes really defined this constant flow of traffic. The most famous was the Via Maris, or the Way of the Sea. This major international highway hugged the coastal plain, connecting Egypt with the empires of the north: the Hittites, Assyrians, Babylonians, Persians, Greeks, Romans. Great armies marched along this road, and the cities along its path, like Gaza and Megiddo, grew wealthy from the trade that passed through, but they were also the first to face the wrath of conquerors. The plain of Megiddo, or Armageddon, became so synonymous with decisive battles that it even entered religious scripture as the site of the final apocalyptic confrontation. The second great route was the King's Highway, which ran along the more elevated plateau to the east of the Jordan River. This ancient trade route connected Arabia, Damascus, and Mesopotamia. It was a vital artery for the lucrative spice trade, with caravans of camels carrying frankincense and myrrh all the way from the southern Arabian Peninsula. The interplay between these two great highways created a complex web of strategic and economic interests that drew the constant attention of surrounding powers. The land of Palestine holds a unique and sacred status for three of the world's great monotheistic religions: Judaism, Christianity, Islam. This shared sanctity has made it a place of deep devotion and pilgrimage, but also, honestly, a source of intense rivalry and conflict. For Judaism, this is Eretz Yisrael, the Promised Land, the land God pledged to Abraham and his descendants. It's the heartland of Jewish history. The stories of the patriarchs, the exodus from Egypt, the establishment of the kingdom under David and Solomon, and the building of the first and second temples in Jerusalem are all centered here. The Western Wall in Jerusalem, a remnant of the Temple Mount, is Judaism's most sacred site for prayer. For Christians, this is the land where Jesus of Nazareth was born, lived, ministered, was crucified, and resurrected. The Gospels are basically a geographical map of the Holy Land, and places like Bethlehem, Nazareth, the Sea of Galilee, and especially Jerusalem are central to the Christian faith. The Church of the Holy Sepulchre in Jerusalem, built over the traditional sites of Jesus' crucifixion and tomb, is the most venerated site in Christendom. For Muslims, the land is also profoundly holy. The Quran speaks of it as a blessed land, and mentions many of the same prophets revered by Jews and Christians like Abraham, Ibrahim, Moses, Musa, and Jesus, Isa. Jerusalem, known in Arabic as Al-Quds or the Holy, is the third holiest city in Islam. The Dome of the Rock and the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the Haram al-Sharif, or the Temple Mount, commemorate this event, making the site a major center of Islamic pilgrimage and worship. The convergence of these three faiths upon the same small territory adds layers of complexity and passion to the modern-day struggle for control of the land. The late 19th and 20th centuries brought dramatic and, honestly, pretty convulsive changes to Palestine, transforming its demographic landscape and political destiny. For centuries under Ottoman rule, the population was primarily Arab, Muslim, Christian, with a small, long-established Jewish community. The late 1800s saw the rise of Zionism, a political movement seeking a Jewish national home. This led to waves of Jewish immigration, mainly from Europe. Newcomers purchased land. They established agricultural settlements. They built new towns, all of which changed the region's social and economic fabric. The collapse of the Ottoman Empire after World War I, and the establishment of the British Mandate for Palestine in 1920 accelerated these changes. The mandate aimed to facilitate a Jewish national home. It also aimed to safeguard the rights of non-Jewish communities. Those aims proved irreconcilable. Jewish immigration increased in the 1930s as Jews fled persecution in Europe. That influx sparked growing tensions. It led to land disputes. It fueled rising Arab nationalism. The period saw escalating violence and revolts from both sides. In 1947, the UN proposed partition, an Arab state, a Jewish state, and Jerusalem under international administration. When the British Mandate ended on May 14, 1948, the State of Israel was declared. War followed immediately. Palestinians call the 1948 events the Nakba, the catastrophe. Over 700,000 Palestinian Arabs were displaced. Since then, the story has been ongoing conflict, occupation, and a struggle for Palestinian statehood. The questions of land ownership and self-determination remain painfully unresolved as of September 25, 2025.